your physics teacher. In this video, I'm going to show you the simple practical on how to determine the center of mass for a 2D object. What you'll need is a retard stand with a clamp and a rod that's sticking out because you need to hang things from this. You're going to need something that acts as a pendulum with a string. Of course, you're going to need string, scissors, the paper or cardboard, which is actually preferred, and a pencil or a pen to draw it out. And if you need to draw straight lines, a ruler. Can you do this at home? Yes, you can. You don't need very complicated stuff. You just need something that acts as a retard stand and as a pendulum with string, and you're good to go. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you two different shapes and how we're going to determine the center of mass for those two different shapes. The first shape which I'm going to show you is a triangle, and the second shape will be some random irregular shape which I'm going to draw, and I'm just going to prove to you it is still possible to determine the center of mass. So we're going to put all this aside first, and we're going to start by drawing the shape on a piece of paper. Now ideally you should be using a thick piece of cardboard, but it's okay to use a thin piece of paper. And in my case, because I want to save the environment, I'm using a piece of recycled paper. Once you have your shape, what you need to do is you need to punch 3 holes at 3 different points on a triangle. So because the triangle already has 3 points, ideally punch a hole at the vertex of each triangle and try to get the hole to be as close as possible to the edge. Because I don't have a punch, I'm just going to use my pen to create the hole. Gotta work smart and fast. Don't try to overcomplicate things. Now that we have our holes, just get a short length of string and thread it through one of the holes. And tie it. Now, so tie the string in a way through the hole so that you can suspend and hold the triangle shape. So with the retard stand on the rod, we're going to now tie the triangle so that it hangs freely from the retard stand. Now what you want to do with the pendulum is you want to hang the pendulum in front of the triangle. So we've already got a loop in our string over here. I'm just going to hang it so that it hangs freely in front of the triangle. So what you want to do now is you want to try to get the pendulum and your triangle to get as close as possible to each other without touching. Try to get the top of your pendulum to match where the hole is, where the string is hanging from the triangle. Now, using your pen or your pencil, ideally your pencil, make a marking on the other edge of the triangle where this pendulum is. That means if it's hanging freely and this is where the pendulum is. Okay, there's a little bit of wind in this classroom. Right, so that's where the pendulum is hanging. Now, once you have that, take your triangle down. And we're going to repeat this with the other 2 holes that you have made. Now, if done correctly, you will be able to find the center of mass really easily. So what you want to do with the markings that you've made on the opposite sides is to connect one straight line from the hole we've made to the other end, which kind of represents where the pendulum bob was hanging. But sometimes you get this problem just like me where we get a little triangle. In this case, our center of mass will be in the middle of that triangle. So how do we prove that this is the center of mass of this triangle? Well, what you can do is place your pen or your pencil where that dot is and see if you can get that paper to balance. Okay, the aircon is blowing a lot in this classroom, so I can't really get this to stay. So if you had a thick piece of cardboard, it's a lot easier because it's not as flimsy as a piece of paper. But yeah, that's where it would get balanced. But yeah, if you've done it correctly, you'll find you'll be able to balance it quite well on the pen if the aircon would stop blowing. So how do we do this with a random shape? Exactly the same thing. Let's say this time I'm just going to draw one random blob like this. and we're going to cut this out. Once you have the shape cut out, do the same thing like what you did with the triangle. We're going to find 3 holes as close as possible to the edge. And these 3 holes should kind of make a triangle within themselves. Don't try to pick 3 holes that are near each other because that's not going to work so well. So 3 holes spread out kind of like a triangle, and we're going to do the same thing now. We're going to punch holes and we're going to hang the shape from these 3 holes and find the opposite side connecting the lines just like we did with the triangle. So remember that you want to try to get the paper and the pendulum string as close as possible without touching, and you want to try to line up the top part of the pendulum with the hole where the string is hanging from. So once you have the opposite markings, just connect the marks to the holes in one straight line. Again, if you had done this correctly, you will find that all these intersections will be at the same point. But if not, and this sometimes does happen, you'll find that you get the intersections that are pretty close and they kind of form a very small triangle. The smaller the triangle, the more accurate your experiment was. If you get a triangle like this, don't worry. The center of the triangle is where the center of mass is. And as before, to try to prove it, try to balance your 2D piece on your pen right at that point. Aircon blowing again. So I hope you found this video helpful and educational in running a practical to determine the center of mass for a 2D object, which is a piece of paper in its shapes. If you like this video, don't forget to click like and remember to subscribe for more videos by Ms. Ho. Happy studying!